be followed and monitored at all times. Now the Republicans got this one pretty close to right. They'll allow dependents to remain on their parents' insurance until they're age 26. Contrast that with the Democratic proposal, which keeps them on until 27. So they copied us, at least in that point. The Republican proposal will cut the deficit by $68 billion over the next 10 years. Sounds great, right? Contrast this with the Democratic proposal, which will cut the deficit by $104 billion over the next 10 years. For the Republicans who sound off about fiscal responsibility all the time, the Democratic proposal is clearly the more responsible for deficit reduction. The Republican plan purports to end junk lawsuits. However, the focus is solely on capping certain damages for pain and suffering. This is an old approach, and it will help insurance companies flaunt state consumer protection laws. The Democratic proposal, on the other hand, would ensure providers are accountable for providing quality care by developing payment policies that have quality as a central tenet of reimbursement. The Democratic proposal seeks to recognize the autonomy of states. The CBO found that the Republican plan would have virtually no effect on reducing premiums in the large group market in which most Americans are involved, where most people purchase their health insurance. Contrast this with the Democratic proposal that seeks to increase transparency with regard to insurance premium increases and decrease the amount insurers can dedicate to profits. The Democratic proposal ends the antitrust exemption for insurers, which has caused a significant lack of competition in the insurance marketplace, whereby one or two insurers provide virtually all the coverage in some markets. This is focused insurance reform rather than business as usual, which the Republicans seek to promote. The Republican plan was introduced to the world on November 4th, 2009, after being slapped together because they realized that something was going to happen out here and they had no alternative to saying no. It has all the failures I've described relative to the Democratic proposal. Contrast this with what has been a deliberative, thoughtful process that has created a bill that's been reported out of 3 committees and is at the precipice of enacting the most far-reaching, consequential health reform in a century. The American people have been waiting for 100 years. They got the Republican proposal a day or so ago, and it is totally inadequate. Despite claims of my Republican colleagues to the contrary, in all respects, the Democratic proposal is simply better. It will provide universal coverage, and I hope that the Republicans will see the wisdom of voting for it next Saturday.
Mr. Jones of North Carolina. Mr. Rowe of Tennessee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I
rise today to pay tribute to Danny Roy Price, who passed away in October at the age of 69. Danny was my most dedicated volunteer, a trusted staff member, but most importantly, he was my friend. He dedicated his life to his Lord and to the service of others. There are literally countless stories of Danny's sense of duty and commitment to service. He served our country in the U.S. Army, and because of that, he had a strong connection to every man and woman who served our country. His wife, Carol, spoke of the day he helped a veteran and his wife received benefits to which they were entitled but had never received. When Danny informed them their benefits had been approved, they began to tear up and weep. Carol said that when Danny returned home that evening, he told her the story, and he too began to weep. I'm incredibly proud to have had a person like him serving East Tennessee. In 2007, Danny was named Tennessee Statesman of the Year, and in 2007 by the Tennessee House of Representatives. It was a fitting tribute to Danny. His incredible attitude and passion I saw on display time and time again during my campaign throughout 2008 as we traveled throughout the district this past year. Everywhere Danny went, he was a statesman, greeted and loved by everyone whose life that he touched. He never wanted the credit. He only wanted a sense of satisfaction from knowing the job that he had done and had been done right. On the last day I shared with Danny, we had a full day of meetings in Bulls Gap, Tennessee, Gatlinburg, Morristown, Knoxville, and Greenville, Tennessee, with a variety of doctors and local businessmen and women.